Welcome to This Week in the SFL Week 14 edition, and look who it is for the first time this season on the pregame show, on the weekly recap show. It's Chris Curtis. What's going on, Chris?
Where? I can't see him. Doing all right, Cam. Doing all right. Ready to recap a pretty fantastic week of action. Looking forward to the playoff matchups that resulted from that. And we still have some seeds to figure out with one more game on the schedule tonight.
Apologies for the late start tonight. Curtis and I are flying solo here all night long. It's just me and him. Of course, we'll have Ron Haynes and Mike Daggs in our stat truck for the big game tonight between Alamo City and Fort Worth, but we appreciate your patience in trying to get this show together. It was a wild Week 14, and we've got plenty to break down in Week 14 and what's coming up in wild card and playoff action. Our headlines this week: Baltimore clinches a first-round bye as Seattle falls apart. Louisiana, Vegas, and Carolina all had opportunities to win and make the playoffs, and none of them could figure it out. Houston won a thriller in Mexico City if you didn't see it. But first, that's where we start in Canada with Seattle's demise. It didn't look that way early as Type Attack hit Dean Jackson for the touchdown. That was his first of the season, hitting the fullback for 6 points, put them up 7-0. Now 14-0. Vancouver's dug themselves a hole, but Christian Brown finds Brett Killian, and BK12 is in for the score and makes it 14-7 just before the end of the quarter. So you think, all right, the Legion have their sea legs about them, but then on the very next play, Baloo Scott for 70, Curtis.
Yeah, exactly. The problem with Vancouver through this point of the season is they've been plagued by slow starts, and the opposing offenses have been having really fast starts with or against the Vancouver defense. And this time, as you'll see, Vancouver able to crawl out of it.
And this was really a turning point in the ball game. 21-7. It looked like Seattle was about to run away with it. Type Attack going into the end zone, and that pass is picked off by Drew Hamilton. 21-14 now. Seattle, after a Vancouver touchdown off that interception, gets a Type Attack run. So all is well in Seattle after that red zone turnover. Back up by 14 are the Nemesis, but the worst was yet to come for Seattle. Now 28-17. 1:05 to go in the second quarter. Important for you to keep that in mind. This pass is fumbled by Pauly Truth, and it ends up falling into the hands of Drew Hamilton before it hit the ground. So technically an interception, but this is when the barrage of Seattle mistakes really started to hurt them, a team that had the fewest turnovers coming in with 9.
Young team, and essentially when it starts going downhill, it starts going downhill fast, and that's exactly what you'll see here. Just mistakes by their rookie quarterback Type Attack, who has played very well all season long, just got into his own head, I think, and made some mistakes that he hasn't been making really all season long.
Picked up by Josh Farnsey, and then you think, well, let's play conservative, but Logan Lee discards a Nemesis defender, gets down the field, so Vancouver gets 6 points off of 2 turnovers from Vancouver in the last minute and 19 seconds. First possession of the second half, and Farnsey picks off another one, so 3 straight possessions for Seattle, resulting in turnovers, and that turns into 13 unanswered for Vancouver. 30-28, Legion up by 2. 2 minutes to go in the third now, and Logan Lee going to get outside, break off a tackle, and he's off and running. This Seattle defense a little undersized, Curtis, maybe a little overmatched up front as this game wore on, and Logan Lee continued to do his thing.
Yeah, exactly. You have the size advantage of the offensive line and the shiftiness of Logan Lee in the backfield, along with the physical nature of Robert Redford when he's in. And it's a nice 1-2 punch back there for Vancouver that's pretty formidable against any defensive line they go up against.
Pass caught by Stephen McMichaels there, and then Logan Lee gets another touchdown. So just like that, 37-28, Vancouver up 9 late in the third. But Seattle would not be denied. First play of their next possession. And deep down the field, it's Pauly Truth. And Seattle just would not go away. They're so talented. They're so explosive. They did not make this easy on the Legion. Coming up, our next play of the Seattle drive, it's Type Attack down the field. T to Queen. Nice one-handed grab down to the 10-yard line. The boys and girls in purple and gray are doing it. Look at this. No quarterback keeper from Type Attack. Instead finds Baloo Scott, who stretches the ball just beyond the goal line. 37-35. But Logan Lee right back to work, makes it 44-35. This game continued to be a shootout. Type attack right back. Finds Gus Scott for the score, 44-42 Seattle. But Logan Lee gets hurt, Curtis, and Robert Redford comes in the game. And on 2nd down and 5, just before the 2-minute warning, Robert Redford shuts the door.
He does, and you talk about having a hefty insurance policy on your bench. It was interesting to see. Thanks. Having Robert Redford come off your bench and be able to put it away just like that is something to really like about Vancouver. There, Logan Lee held a majority of the carries through the entire game, and then all of a sudden you have Robert Redford come in. He's able to get the job done, slam the door in Seattle.
So Vancouver gets the win. Now they will take on Canton in the first round of the playoffs, and that is the 9-8 matchup in the wild card round. Here's how it stacks up. These two teams not familiar with each other very much, and that's going to be a theme in this wild card weekend. Canton unbeaten at home, 6-0, but Vancouver is 8-0 in first-round playoff games, so something has to give these two streaks going up against each other. Vancouver's offense is terrific, 2nd in points per game, but Canton's defense is terrific, 2nd in points per game. The two teams play a totally different style. Canton runs the ball 65% of the time, and Vancouver more often than not prefers to pass. Both are 7-5. What do you think of this first-round matchup? It's going to kick off the playoffs this weekend, Saturday at 6:30.
Well, essentially, Vancouver has gotten into the playoffs by outscoring their own defense. Their defense has not been fantastic throughout. The offense for Vancouver has been very good. It's what's kept them in and won them a 7 games this season. I think it's fair to say. Canton on the other side, they have a very stout defense. So if Vancouver figures out the defense, then it could be a shootout, which favors Vancouver. But if this is a defensive game, then I think the needle has to point to Canton, especially being at home. Even with the streak on the line for Vancouver in first-round games, you gotta really figure out which kind of game this is going to be. If it's defensive, it's Canton. If it's offensive, it's Vancouver.
I really wish that I could learn how to be a ventriloquist, and then people would think my camera was frozen, but I'd still be talking. I don't know. It seems fun. All right, back to the highlights. The Baltimore Vultures were trying to get a chance at the playoffs. They played before Seattle. They needed a Seattle loss and a win to make that happen. Let's see if they got it. Baltimore at Carolina. First play of the game, Curtis, and Ike McBride makes one of the best plays of the whole season. Did you see Matt South with that block? Are you kidding me? What a play. Yeah. She's gone.
It takes a team effort sometimes to get the running back sprung, and Matt South knows that. He gets up, makes a huge block, helps to spring McBride, who uses some physical play of her own right to knock down defenders and get to the house. So Carolina starting off early.
That's the 4th time I've seen that play this weekend, and I didn't even notice Matt South just crushing Keenan Samuels. Keenan may have gotten the last laugh. Later on, we'll see one more of his highlights here on the show. So 7-0 at that point. Carolina takes the lead, but Baltimore's got a bruising running back of their own. T. Roy Gaines playing fullback, but playing it a lot in the running back spot, and he ties the game at 14. Gaines and McBride going back and forth on this day, but Matt South had a little bit going in the passing game. That's a pretty catch from Chase Earl with a little bit of style. Carolina goes up 21-14. Remember, the Skyhawks beat the Vultures the first time these two teams played and had beaten Baltimore 2 times in a row. Jack Wigmore to Ivory Irvin. This was really Carolina's problem all day, Curtis, because they just could not stop the pass.
They couldn't stop the pass, and typically over the middle of the field, which was the problem for the Carolina defense. And Wigmore, a good enough quarterback, he's going to be able to pick that apart most of the day if you're not able to stop it.
There he was, Keenan Samuels, right before the half, forces a Carolina field goal, stunts a little bit of their momentum, and then in less than a minute, Baltimore gets down the field with a timeout to spare. Jack Wigmore to Caesar Ackerman makes it 28-24, Baltimore over Carolina. 1 minute into the third quarter, and nothing has changed. That's when you know, Curtis, you're in trouble. When you start the second half and you're doing the same stuff you were as the first half, your defense was not diverse enough. You made no adjustments, and Baltimore continued to roll. 35-24, Matt South trying to get it back for Carolina. clean pocket this time. Finds Quintero, but he coughed the football up. Just can't do that in a game like this.
No, with everything on the line, potentially your season at this point, that's a catch you have to be able to bring in and hold on to. You know the hit's coming, and you have to be able to secure that football. Quintero not able to do it there as the safety comes up, makes a massive hit, and Baltimore really rolled from there.
Fumble forced by Troy Loshaw. Look at this. Perfect play call against a blitz, and T-Roy Gaines puts another man on the ground. 42-24. Baltimore led at that point. 45-31. Under a minute to go. Carolina's still hanging around, but Riley Quintero had the fumble earlier. Can't hold on to that one. And Baltimore gets the win 45-31. Ashley Jackson caught up with Siron Yates IV after their win and after Baltimore secured a first-round bye and the number 4 seed in the playoffs.
Welcome back to where I am joined with another great friend of mine, Mr. Siron Yates IV. It is the 4th, right? Okay, I had to make sure because with the numerals I get a little sidetracked. But he is the president and GM of the Baltimore Vultures, who just won their game over the Carolina Skyhawks. Man, how does it feel? That was a good game.
Yeah. I mean, that Ike McBride is a beast.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm going to say like that. We got to tip our hats to Ike McBride. No matter what we do in the 2 games, we didn't play them. I mean, it's like almost impossible to stop her. Big ups to her. I mean, she is a monster.
So what do you think the keys to the success are, this season? Because, this new game, new era of esports football, and, you 9-3, which is, not a bad score for a new game or record.
Well, I mean, we had our growing pains early, had a lot of talks with each other, a lot of communication. That's one reason why, we've done this so many times before. And what I mean by what we've done is like, we've talked about this before, and it's just the ability to communicate with T-Pat and TJ, and go over with, the Velvet Hammer, Mr. Trains. And we all come up with different scenarios, and it's easy for teams to have one scout, but it's a blessing for a team to have all scouts because everybody look at it and have their say or how they feel about things. And luckily, we have T-Pat, like I said, and TJ that can take what we say and put it into a game plan, make adjustments, and it's just, it's just a blessing.
Hey, indeed. I would say 5, 6, 7 pairs of eyes better than just one,
Absolutely.
So I definitely can feel you on that. And next time I talk to the Velvet Hammer, I'll make sure I bring that up. See if he's actually helping or if he's just looking at the game. But so you guys are going into a bye week, and of course it's always nice. But do you think, in your opinion, that having a bye week before a playoff game is good for the momentum of the team and and for the coach? Or do you think maybe just going in full force, keeping the momentum going constantly is a secret to winning?
Well, there was a line I learned from you probably a couple of seasons ago, any given sim day. So we can either keep it hot or we can let our positions on offense and defense look at whoever we're going to be playing and come up with a great game plan. I'm an Ohio State fan, so no, we're not going to steal any signs or anything like that, like a team that I know. But we are going to be watching what someone does, win or lose. We go into the game always thinking we're going to win or, how can I say? I'm trying to find the right word and it's going over my head right now, but we always go in feeling that we can win, knowing another team can beat us, but doing everything we can not to give that team what they want. And that way, when we have a bye week, we can look over and see who we're playing You know, like I was saying earlier about Ike McBride in Carolina, is that, sheesh, no matter what game plan you put in with that monster of a person, you know, you got to be lucky. You know, and sometimes your defense has to stop. So we have to see what's going on with that
Mm-hmm.
before we even play games. So I do like more of a bye week, you know, to watch. Or, you know, if we've been in before where we didn't have a bye week and we won it all. So it is what it is.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing how deep you guys go to the playoff. Will it be another championship ring, or no, are you gonna make it? So it's gonna be an interesting
I mean,
story either way.
we feel like Thanos. So, you know, just don't let us snap our finger.
You have enough. You have a good night, man. Appreciate your time.
Deuces.
Back to you in the booth.
Thanks, Ashley. I think Yates was right on there, Curtis. You know that the defense has had its struggles against you know, specific matchups this season. I think the difference between Baltimore from maybe week 4 to week 14 has been their offensive production. It really has taken off. Curtis, how do you see the improvement of Baltimore from when they were struggling in the first month?
You're right on the money with the offensive upgrades they've made. Just from a scheming perspective, they are more possession based, which I think is important because their defense can't create issues for their offense if their defense isn't on the field. So if you are putting together double-digit drives, or even the quick hitters that they can get with Warren Murray, with Ivory Irvin, which they are known to do, it makes for very difficult scenarios for other teams to try to bounce back against Baltimore on a consistent basis. So real good work, not to mention the fact that the run game's awesome. You talk about Warren Murray, you talk about the Velvet Hammer T-Roy Gaines, and we're going to leave that one where it is. But yeah,
Jeez.
No, that's fantastic.
We need
for work.
I got to write that story in the off season. I gotta get it on the website. Figure out where
it
that
is
where
officially
that
hammer time in Baltimore.
If Arizona beats Minnesota, Arizona would play Baltimore in the quarterfinals, a back-to-back championship game rematch in the quarterfinals. Wouldn't that be something? All right, back to the highlights. Louisiana and Florida. Florida coming out in their red storm unis, and there was no storm on Ron Cochran. He was hardly pressured at all on this night, and he rolls out and finds an open man in the end zone for the touchdown. Charlie Beletsky with the score, goes up 14-3. It was all Florida early in this one as Louisiana needed a win to get into the playoffs. The home fans were loud and rowdy. 3rd and 4, 7 minutes to go in the first quarter, and whoops, that's not good. That is a wide open Liam Hammer. And when I say wide open, I mean wide open, all caps. Yeah, Liam Hammer gets into the end zone, and boy, did Louisiana need that, because the Revolution didn't have any momentum up to that point. But Curtis, Bullet Bolesky got hurt in this one. It wasn't about Bullet. It was about the blocking. Look at Greg McDonaldson, Joseph Wade going out to block on that screen pass, and then watch the blocking there. Boom, 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 all the way. It doesn't matter who you put in the backfield if that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, exactly. You have blocking like that, and you could put a tour bus through those holes that they're creating, and it's fantastic work to see the holes get there, even for the backup to get in and make a play like he's doing. It creates opportunities for Cochran to do things like that, hit Stephen Bush at the back of the end zone.
And even that play, they brought a fifth guy. They brought the pressure, and it got picked up. A terrific blocking blitz coverage. Liam Hammer scores again, though, and Louisiana's right in this thing, 24-17. This was just taken off the dome of Nathan Blake. My goodness, Art Vandelay with a sensational catch with 9 minutes to go as Louisiana was desperately trying to get off the field. 8:18 to go in the fourth, still only up 7, and look at that. He's not even touched. He's not touched until he nearly has the first down, Curtis. You're never going to stop the run that way, and Florida's offensive line winning this one big, 31-17. The Storm improved to 10-2, put the pressure on Alamo City, because if the Artillery lose tonight, Alamo City would fall to 3. Let's hear from Max Paul on PGI.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with another good friend of mine, Mr. Mighty RX, aka Max Paul. He is the owner and actually helping out with coaching this season over at the Florida Storm, coming off a big win 31-17, knocking the Louisiana Revolution off. They're out of the playoff contention. Man, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. It was a tough week. Getting ready for Louisiana, knowing that their defense would give us some problems. Because their run defense has been really good this entire season. So we knew we'd have to pick our spots, and kind of stay with it, even if we weren't successful running the ball at the beginning, and which we did. And slowly but surely, we were able to kind of make some inroads and get put the ball in the end zone a couple times, and then Bullet went down, and kind of got hairy. But then the backup came in and did backup things because the mentality in Florida is next man up, right? We don't rely on one person to do everything.
Right.
Just do your job, right? What's that? That's that Gus Bradley line or Pete Carroll line? No, that's the Bill Belichick. Do your job, right? If you do your job, don't worry about nobody else, right? Because you can't cover two receivers at the same time. So you do your job, right? And then you let everyone else do their job, and big ups to Louisiana again. We knew they would not go out without a fight, and we're just happy that we're able to get out of that one with a big time win that kind of propels us into the playoffs. So it's a great way to end the regular season in front of home fans, giving a nice, strong performance from all phases. Big ups to our rookies as well. J.J. Bailey came through with a clutch sack on a 3rd and long. But he's part of head coach Art's defense. Funny during the game, I said, because I call his defense Latino Heat. I don't know if you like it or not, but that's what I'm gonna call from now on, because he be bringing that spice over there with that defense he got running. So I'd be remiss not to give head coach Art all the flowers, because his defense has been balling this entire season for us, and hopefully we could keep that going and even step it up to the next level come playoff time. So I said too much already. AJ, what you got?
No, you're good. I actually had another question for you before I let you go. So with the new game transition, and now you guys are 10-2, did you foresee your season ending off on the high note like it did?
No. As I tell my team, I still don't know what I'm doing. I'm just throwing stuff at the wall, and hopefully some sticks. And so far, it's stuck more weeks than not. So we're still trying to figure out, which playbooks work best with the talent level we have, which plays Ron is able to execute, which plays he can't, which plays work best with the kind of blocking talent we have up front. I'm sure Art's still, tinkering defensively as to, what our defense can and can't do. So it's all another learning process, mind you, before, because with the previous platform we were using, we had eons with it to kind of, fine tune and get to where we're trying to go. This brand new baby we got in our hands now, we're still test driving certain things, trying to find out its limits, right? And trying to stretch it. Oh, okay, maybe it can't do this, but maybe it can do this. So that's where we are now. We're still tinkering, just still trying to find the best combination of plays and formations that can help us get the results we're looking for.
Quickly, last question. 2 losses in the books for you this season. What did you learn from those 2 losses?
Not to pick those plays or playbooks. That's the best. Yeah, the Atlanta loss. The Atlanta loss was the learning experience, and then the follow-up with the Carolina loss was like, really? We had one bad pass. The one bad pass cost us the game. So it's one of those, okay, we know Ron can't execute that one. So, yeah, that pass has been burnt in forevermore and will not be used in Florida, at least. No, not for the foreseeable future. That's what we learned it. We learned, okay, because Art's defended his thing. Like I said, his defense has been balling. Offensively, we did not come correct in neither one of those games, which is why Atlanta, did their thing and beat us, and then Carolina got us at the buzzer and beat us. But that's what we learned. So hopefully we can keep that going and keep learning and keep getting better as the playoff now, the second season gets started.
All right then, here we go. Let's get this in the books, Coach. Thank you so much for taking time out to spend with us. I know you're a busy man, so I appreciate it.
No problem. And what did Eddie be saying? Arizona, we love y'all. Right? That's what everything. There you go.
Yes.
Big up my boy Eddie. Big time dub too. Big win. Big win. Big rivalry. Big win. Big win. Can't wait to see what y'all do in the playoffs as well. So,
Hey man, we gonna bring it like everybody else. Love you, man. See you soon.
all right. Sounds
All
good.
right. Peace. Back to you in the booth.
Eddie says it enough. I don't think anybody else needs to start saying it. Okay, so Florida's 10-2. They can get as high as the 2. Otherwise, they'll be the 3 seed. Let's move to the Central, Curtis, where Indianapolis, what happened? That was all they had to do was win and in on the road against Sioux Falls. They laid an egg.
They did, and it sets up essentially 2 teams that have a chance at the Central Division now because Indianapolis no longer does, and it's not Indianapolis. Minnesota and Tulsa are gifted a chance here to get in. Indianapolis absolutely kicking themselves after putting on the display they did in Sioux Falls, and now we have ourselves a win and in scenario for 2 teams that have less than 5 wins.
So here we go. Tulsa could get to 5-7. Minnesota could get to 4-8. Man, the Desperados came out hot. JQ to DJ Bandit in the back of the end zone, face plants a defender, and Tulsa goes up 7-0. Minnesota with a win would win the division at 4-8. Look at that! What a play there! As that pass intercepted by a linebacker for Minnesota. Colin Hart with the touchdown gets in, and Minnesota's got all the momentum again. That was Stephen Black with the interception for Minnesota just before the half. Tulsa goes up 17-13. Finally, a Gabriel Manning sighting. Minnesota did a nice job keeping him contained much of the day. This is a huge play. People weren't talking about this at the time. Johnny Reno slides, doesn't get the first down, but he takes Minnesota from outside of field goal range to inside of field goal range. That got them a field goal and made it 17-16. Now 23-16 in the fourth. Jason Clay, another interception by a linebacker for Minnesota. That gives Johnny Reno the ability to do that. Jason France down to the 2-yard line. The PI wouldn't matter, but Minnesota started to get some momentum after that Jason Clay interception. 3rd and goal, 6.5 to go. Colin Hart, you bet, 23-23, and we're all tied up in Tulsa with the Central Division on the line. Johnny Reno to Jay Taylor, an unsung hero of this one as well. Down to the Tulsa 45-yard line with under 5 minutes to go. Now 3rd down and 8. Where's Reno going to go with 5 wide? It's Jay Taylor, this time over the middle with the catch. 3.5 to go. Taylor back-to-back big plays in a couple of minutes. Now 3rd and 10 for Minnesota. Johnny Reno's pass complete. This is Deezer Powell. I mean, these are clutch 3rd down conversions for Minnesota, and that would set up Melillo's field goal, which was right down the middle. So 26-23, Tulsa gets the ball back. No timeouts, 1 minute and 44 seconds left. Well, they botched it. 9 seconds remaining. They're still outside of field goal range. JQ fires it down the field to Sanzo Robinson, but only 4 seconds left. There's absolutely no time. And Minnesota wins the Central Division with a 4-8 record and, Curtis, a positive point differential. Minnesota, the wackiest, probably the wackiest season of any of the 27 teams in the league this year.
It's certainly any of the teams to make the playoffs in SFL history. I don't think there's any estimation beyond that. I mean, a 4-8 team making the playoffs is something that it's the first time we've seen anything like that. And it's probably the last time we'll see that, to be honest with you. So it's it's something that is very much an anomaly. But now Minnesota has as much of a chance as the other teams in the playoffs to get to, as they're in the tournament. Anything can happen once they're in the bracket. And so they're going to look to make some noise.
And look, they're a wacky team, and they just played Arizona a couple of weeks ago, and they gave Arizona everything they had. They shut them out in the second half, 28-20. Arizona got the win, but that was the first time these teams have played either, right? So there's just not a lot of history in these matchups. You see Arizona, just like Canton, was undefeated at home. Minnesota was previously 0-5 on the road before going into Tulsa and getting that win. The Legend have been back-to-back seasons, one and done in the playoffs. They're trying not to make that 3 seasons in a row that way. Arizona's won 10 playoff games over their time, but man, these Scorpions, number 1 on third down, number 1 in time of possession. Their offense is just efficient. Ashley Jackson never gets sacked. DJ Moses has all kinds of room to run. Minnesota's up against it big time.
They are, and the thing is that the Minnesota does have a bit of a chip on their shoulder. They come into season 21 after a season 20 first-round playoff exit to the Skyhawks, if I'm not mistaken, last season. And so they've got a chip on their shoulder. If it's a defensive showdown and Minnesota can actually hold on to the football for any length of time, then they may have a shot at this. But that's the thing about the Scorpions offense is they just suffocate you. DJ Moses, Ashley Jackson, down your throat all game long, double-digit drives. This is what they do. This is when they're at their best. So if Minnesota can force some turnovers, maybe steal a couple possessions and take advantage of those opportunities, they may be in business, but they have to get off the field on third down.
That's Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern, and Eddie Gage caught up with Jackson to talk about the win, Arizona being the 5, so much more.
We are back with PGI, where I'm joined with head coach and co-owner, Mr. Eddie Gage, coming off a dominating victory over the Las Vegas Fury, 31-9. Man, how are you doing tonight?
Happy to get that last one out the way. Waiting till Sunday night is always nerve-wracking because it tends to mess up my whole weekend because I'm just thinking about the game all the time. But now that it's over with, I can just move on.
Absolutely. On to the next one, as they say, right?
Yeah.
So defense put on a dominating performance tonight. Of course, offense scored 31 points, but your defense was definitely different. With this new game change, what have you been noticing about the defensive changes that you've been making that are key to your success? Now, you don't have to give away the specific plays, of course, but maybe something that you're coming to an understanding to that you would like to share.
That offensive linemen who aren't necessarily paid as much as other players can be dominant. And to get home consistently, you have to bring pressure to make the quarterback nervous, so to speak, or rush throws and stuff like that, create turnovers. You just sit back there and let them do their thing, they're going to pick you apart. So, got to bring pressure.
Okay. So now that we're at the end of the season, time to reflect. So the 3 losses that Arizona had, is there anything or any specific play or any specific moment that kind of stuck out to you that you really learned from?
Shout out to all the coaches who out here doing it. No disrespect to anybody, but there was one game in particular in which I didn't take advantage of something that I anticipated coming, and it cost us dearly. Our defense played lights out, but I got out-coached that game because I did not prepare us for certain looks, and sure enough, they made us pay for it. So I had to learn from that, and unfortunately, it resulted in us taking a loss. And had I been more prepared, perhaps we're sitting at home with a first-round bye rather than preparing to play next week. So,
with that, I believe our next opponent could be
Minnesota. It is Minnesota.
So it is Minnesota, and Arizona has already had a win for Minnesota. So, how do you foresee? Are you a little bit nervous, Coach, with this particular matchup, having to see them again after winning the first time?
I'm always nervous. Every playoff game, regular season game. I don't care if we're playing a high school team. I'm nervous. You know that. But playoffs is win or go home, and like you said, we just played them a couple of weeks ago, so I'm sure They're gonna dissect that tape and learn from it, just like we are.
Yeah.
And I expect Axel and company to come out ready. They're gonna probably make some changes that we aren't anticipating. I just gotta be prepared for any and everything because it's lose or go home. So there's no time for errors, and I gotta get us ready.
One more question. For those individuals that, well, when the game was first introduced that we would be switching over, you were not a fan of that. And now seeing that you are in the playoffs, you brought your team to the playoff contention. Did you ever for a second guess your coaching ability?
Hell no. I mean, it's still football at the end of the day, as long as you know your X's and O's and know how to take advantage of certain situations and certain looks, both offensively and defensively. And if you have a squad that's built to compete, my confidence has never wavered. So for all those people who said, yo, Gage, he not motivated, man, I got 20-something players on my squad I'm thinking about. My motivation was never lost. And my desire to compete and win games has never been lost either. So I don't know where that even came from or why it was even mentioned, but they can kick rocks with that. I mean, one person in particular said we was going to win 6 games tops because I just wasn't motivated. And here we are with 9 wins. So, we playing with house money at this point. So if we go 0-1 in the playoffs this season, it's still a win for us, as far as I'm concerned, for that individual at least, not for me.
So much, Coach. I really appreciate your time. Can't wait to see how Arizona's going to fare in the playoff contention and see where it goes.
So,
all right. Thank you.
Arizona, I love. Oh, man. Let's go. Western Division champions for the 5th time in 7 seasons. Let's get it.
Indeed. Thank you. Back to you in the booth.
Thank you, Eddie. Thank you, Ashley. All right, back to the highlights where the DC Dragons and the Charleston Predators kicked off our week. Man, in between the hash marks all night in this game, DC just exposing Charleston. First, it was Josh Gill on an arrow. Then it was Ronnie Shanahan on an arrow, 13-0. Just before the half, trying to get a touchdown down, 16-0 Charleston. And that was broken up by John DeSantis. Makes it 16-3. Chuck Steller with the shortest dive I've ever seen. 23-3. 3:20 to go in the third quarter. And this game seemed like a wrap. But John Lakeman and the Charleston Predators, they weren't going away. Benjamin Warner with this catch. Down 20, signaling first down right in front of that DC bench. Trying to get the crowd fired up. Then Lakeman. Down the field, that's Davius Reed. This is one of the best wide receiving cores in this league. Lakeman to Brian Murphy down to the 17-yard line. Charleston moving the ball, and then Nick Hoagland gets a touchdown, and hey, we're in business. 23-10, we got a ball game in the fourth quarter. DC struggled to put teams away at times this season, and whoa, 3 minutes to go. Here we go again. You see Lakeman's balance in the passing game on this night. 2nd down and goal. Lakeman, that's a touchdown. Benjamin Warner, it's a 6-point game. Are you kidding me? DC may be in some trouble, but 3rd down and 7. Lauren Percoco with a beautiful snag. She has been awesome, Curtis.
She has, and that's really where the dagger was there. You convert that on a 3rd down with a minute to go, and you keep the ball out of Charleston's hands. That's DC growing up a little bit in that game, able to put the dagger home, the nail in the coffin, so to speak. And they're going to need that if they can get up on their playoff matchup in the fourth quarter. The ability to put away teams in the SFL is paramount to a lot of skills, and DC proved on this day that they could do it.
But Charleston got in anyway. They'll take on Seattle. They get in on strength of schedule against Las Vegas. It may have happened one time. Otherwise, in SFL history, the strength of schedule was the tiebreaker needed. But Charleston gets in there. The 11 seed will preview that matchup in a minute. But what may have been the best game of the week, Denver, San Diego. San Diego said the fans are this is going to be a blowout by halftime. And they better get ready because they only need to focus up for the first 20 minutes. Well, it looked like that early. B. Robo, then Rob Noel with the score, 14-0. in the first quarter. But you know what? Denver's got some players too. Gene Struthers, laser to Logan Keel down to the 3-yard line. And then just before the end of the quarter, R.E. Mills lined up as the fullback, or as the running back. Bailey O'Shaughnessy as the fullback. Denver flips it around, and R.E. Mills gets in the end zone and scores. 14-7, San Diego up. Now 17-16, this was a huge play. Denver had the ball down just one. Tom Krieg picks it off. That was kind of the name of the game for the Mavericks on this night, Curtis. They just never gave away the lead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just timely plays to preserve that lead and get Denver's offense off the field. Just when Denver thinks they have a chance, San Diego snuffs it away from them.
Handoff Rob Noel, he scores again, makes it 24-16 San Diego. And then Hunter McWaffle, another carry, scores 31-16. Okay, we're right back where we started, right? Denver down 14, now down 15, 3rd down and 6. Somebody's got to be down there somewhere. Gene Struthers. Oh, Logan Keel, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Double coverage, Logan Keel. What a play.
The heaving hope. Hey, there's a white shirt down there in the end zone area somewhere. Got to make it happen. They do. And Denver, they can get timely plays like this. And I think a few more of those would have equal a better season for them, but it worked out there.
This may be the play of the season. Gene Struthers, Al-Farouq Aminu from behind catches up to the pass catcher to knock him down at the 3, and then Struthers rushed wide open was R.E. Mills, and Struthers rushed it. That would have made it a 5-point game. Onside kick after the field goal, and Denver recovers. Luke Schreiner with the onside kick recovery. Denver is in business despite all of the frustrations of the season. They have an opportunity for the 2nd straight year to spoil San Diego's playoff chances. Oh man, that pass caught by Dylan Lewis on the outside of the 2-minute warning. Denver's got plenty of time. Down 8, 2 timeouts left. Struthers down the field, hits Alex Jackson, the rookie, first down to the, or Alan Jackson rather, the rookie down to the San Diego 17-yard line. Then Struthers, there's a PI that's going to stop the clock. Denver, with 1 timeout and 1minute and 40 seconds left, they were 6 yards away from the end zone, and it's Al-Farouq Aminu that made that great play on 2nd and goal with the interception. It seals it, and San Diego's going to the playoffs for the first time.
Yeah, San Diego able to exercise their demons in Denver. They needed this, and really the timely plays. Al-Farouq Aminu in the second half, key defensive plays that really put them on the map as Denver tries one more time.
They got one last shot at this, and this is actually a fantastic play call. Logan Keel gets him into Hail Mary range and stops the clock with 4 seconds to go and no timeouts. Perfect play call. Struthers, Hail Mary, and nobody was home. Rushed it. Did get it to the end zone, but nobody was there. San Diego gets to 7-5. I want to say in the chat, people talking about the 2,000 yards. Just DJ Moses to this point has gotten 2,000 yards, first since season 15, but no one anywhere close to the SFL record of Jaye and Yola's 2,387 yards. So no rushing touchdown records or rushing yards records happening this season. All right, let's preview the other 2 playoff matchups we haven't talked about yet. San Diego's going to go to D.C. to take on the Dragons Sunday, and actually the time is incorrect on the graphic. That is my bad. Sunday, 9 p.m. Eastern is San Diego and D.C. It's the last game of the weekend, and again, these 2 teams really do not have a lot of familiarity with each other. DC 3-3 at home this season. Didn't really have, surprisingly, a huge home field advantage, but man, these defenses are unbelievable. Pass yards per attempt, 4th and 2nd, respectively. 3rd down defense, DC is 1st, and both these teams love to sling the ball down the field when they do throw. This could be a playoff matchup for the heavens. I mean, it should be great.
This one is going to be, if you're not talking about this matchup, you probably should be. I want to point out that what San Diego did to the 2nd-ranked offense in the league, that is Vancouver, just a few weeks ago. They silenced the Legion in that game and blew them out by 30 plus, if I'm not mistaken. So that is a defense that's worth watching. DC on the other side, also a very good defense, especially as you see there on third down. That is going to be the matchup to watch as far as these two defenses go. Which defense will blink first? And the one who does may not be able to recover offensively.
So that's your Sunday 9 game, and then the correct time, Sunday 6:30, Charleston and Seattle. The only time these two teams met, Curtis, was at the Las Vegas convention. Remember, that was Seattle's first game as an organization, and Charleston, gave them an early welcome to SFL football. That was the last time these two teams played. Seattle also making their first playoff appearance. SOD, strength of defeat. That is the record of teams you've lost to. And Seattle has lost to a bunch of good teams. Now, on the one hand, that means they've lost to a lot of teams that made the playoffs, but on the other, it shows that they may even be a little bit better than their 8-4 record. They are entering the playoffs on a 2-game losing streak. Charleston also lost this past week, so these are two teams hoping to stop the streak and get their season back on track.
Yeah, Charleston clear underdogs in this game. Seattle, while they had the second-ranked strength of defeat, they also were 7th in strength of schedule. So the majority of their wins came against teams that had very good records as well, just because of who they played on a regular basis. This is a matchup that clearly should favor Seattle. However, they are the younger team. There is a lot more veteran presence on the Charleston side of things than Seattle can claim on their side. So it's going to be a little bit of youth versus experience, but at the same time, ability over maybe a little bit lack thereof in some cases, and game-tested stress.
Seattle, San Diego, Canton, all making their first playoff appearances during this wildcard weekend. How will they handle the pressure? How will they look? It's going to be really interesting. We had 4 other games that did not affect the playoffs. We're going to go rapid fire here, Curtis, because we got a big game to get to tonight, Fort Worth and Alamo City, and we are already behind schedule. Jacksonville destroys Atlanta 59-14. That is not the way Atlanta wanted to end their season. Remember, they were 3-6 going into that Monday night Baltimore game where they played very well, and then they fell to Queen City, fell to Jacksonville. Things just kind of fell apart for them. But the Kings got some things figured out down the stretch. They're going to be an interesting team to watch. Can they retain and grow this offseason?
Yeah, and that's going to be the key, is retention. How much of their crew from this season is going to be able to come into season 22 and carry that same kind of momentum? Because I think you're right. I think that things just started to work out for them in the second half of the season, and I really like what this team can do, especially in that division. I want to see what kind of moves they make in the offseason to maybe shore up some things, as I think they're entering into a period of, hey, we might be able to do something, maybe not a win now, but a win soon type of mentality for Jacksonville.
And O.J. Bruin did play better down the stretch. So did Kenny Slider. Good problem to have for Jacksonville. Probably the best game you didn't watch this weekend. Houston beats Mexico City 41-38 in overtime to improve to 6-6. The Aztecs slide to 3-9. But don't worry, Denver. You secured the number 1 pick, and Mexico City traded their number 2 pick to Indy. So Indy will have the number 2 pick in the draft. But Houston gets the win. They improved to 6-6. It wasn't enough to make the playoffs, but all season long, Curtis, I think that everyone saw that Houston was very talented. And again, as long as they can continue that momentum, they should be a playoff team next season.
Yeah, absolutely. And as they figure things out in the offseason, test some things with the new environment, that kind of thing, I think they'll be okay long term. Mexico City, though, on the up train as well. Won 3 out of 5 games, including this loss in overtime to Houston in the final week. So they are moving in an upward trending direction going into season 22. So watch out for them. Jordan Sipe, Ray Bentley, all those guys are going to be another team to watch out for in that South Division. Houston
gets the win. Motor City gets a nice 28-13 victory on the road against Queen City. They improved to 5-7. Corsairs go to 4-8. Both these teams, a lot of work to be done. Curtis, right now the Central kind of firmly in Canton's hands. We'll see if a 4th team joins them and at what point in the Central Division. But Queen City, kind of a roller coaster this year, and they kind of hit a downslope on the last week.
They did, but you know what? You have to look at the positives for Queen City. They are still a much improved team from season 20, and that's the thing that I'm looking at. That's what I have to look at, is they were in more games than they were not, and they were able to come out with a couple of wins, or with a few wins on that side as well. So yes, there is work to be done for Queen City, and definitely for Motor City as well. But at least I can say for Queen City, still an upward trending direction for them, although they're still probably at least 1 or 2 seasons away.
And then finally, Portland beat Los Angeles. I think the main headline from this game is Sully Richardson may have ruined his all-star potential through 2 pick sixes in the final 2 minutes of this game that put him at 5 picks in the game. He hadn't thrown 5 picks in the last 2 months, and Portland pulled away. Wow, what a missed opportunity for the Fleet this season. They had so many impressive wins, but it feels like for both these teams, it's kind of the same story, but the difference is that LA and Portland, I think, have a lot more bright spots than they typically would heading into the next season, because both of them had some really impressive wins against playoff teams on their resume this season.
They did, and let's talk about LA first. LA comes through, and you're expecting this team going into season 21, you're thinking maybe max 2 wins. They did not have a tremendous offseason, but they figured things out with the people that they had, and are therefore, I'd say, a team to keep an eye on in the offseason to see who they add, who they lose, and see if they can maybe work an impact into the Pacific Division next season. Talk about Portland, a little bit of redemption for them. They do pull away here, but at the same point, like you said, it's been a bit of a disappointing season for them. There's no sugarcoating that by any stretch of the imagination. However, a little bit of redemption here against an LA team who's on an upward moving direction. The Fleet, again, could be a team to watch for season 22. Maybe this is their stagnant season. Maybe they go up a bit going forward. So I like where Portland's at. Like you said, more bright spots than dark spots. I like for them to have a shot at the Pacific Division as well.
Jacob Bouvette, we're praying for you. Be safe. Rebuild your life. Portland has your back. That's why you built this team. And we'll see what the Fleet can do this upcoming season. Okay, so transitioning, Fort Worth, Alamo City. This one is the big one. It's the one everyone's been waiting for. If there was any night that I was going to be half an hour behind schedule, it shouldn't have been this. Everybody's probably so upset, but, that's what we do. 30 minutes is not going to kill anybody. But Marcus Dunhill is hoping to kill Alamo City tonight. He caught up with Ashley Jackson before the game.
Welcome back to PGI, where I am joined with a very, very good friend of mine who I haven't seen all season because he's been grinding, Mr. Marcus Dunhill. He is quarterback and assistant GM for the Fort Worth Toros that have been having a great, fantastic, wonderful season. Man, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me.
I know you are. Shoot, y'all haven't lost the game yet.
Not yet, but you never know.
Yeah, well, I mean, I want to say, man, you guys have definitely turned the corner. Hacker and Luis have been firing on all the cylinders to get you guys where you are. So, Marcus, tell me, from your perspective, what do you think the secret to your success is in Fort Worth?
Well, I think it has a lot to do with Nacho. He's worked so hard this season. I've kind of been in and out watching him prepare some of his game plans, and he spends a lot of time simming, a lot of time planning. And I think, the work that he puts in is what shows on the field, as well as, our progression plans, all our teams, Hacker helping out as well. I think we all just put in a lot of work, and I think it's built on foundations of season after season, considering we had a deep playoff run last year, and we were just looking to build on that this year.
So did you foresee you guys having an undefeated season and doing so well?
Not one bit, It's always nice to be undefeated, but you kind of have to be realistic and say, you know what, we're probably going to lose at some point, and that's okay. So I was kind of waiting for that to happen, and so far it hasn't. But, even last year we didn't escape without any losses, and I figured this year would kind of be the same deal. My minimum goal is let's shoot for the playoffs, have a clean slate, and then try to make a run in the playoffs. But we've been really fortunate this season.
You definitely have. Now, this game tonight against Alamo City, You have Greg that's been in the lab working day and night trying to figure you guys out. So what do you think that you guys will have to do to be able to continue your undefeated streak against these guys?
Well, if you look at the history so far, we have not beaten Alamo City. And it's kind of funny because when the schedule came out earlier in this season, I said, please do not tell me that our division is going to come down to playing them week 12, because of course it did again. And, for us to beat them, I think we just need to play mistake-free football. We need to do really well on the ground. We cannot turn the ball over in the air. We have to force them to make mistakes, because I think this game is going to come down to whichever team makes mistakes is going to lose.
Got it. One more question for you. What do you think will be the secret to your success for the playoffs? Because if I'm not mistaken, it's been a long time coming since you guys have went into the playoff with this as a high caliber team, so to speak.
Well,
Go ahead.
As I say, I think we went into the playoffs as a pretty high caliber team last season. However, we had one of the worst endings to our season that I think I've ever had in my career. I think you remember it was a game, I believe, against you guys last season, the playoffs, where Jay-Z Bacon went down and then our backup running back went down, when our game plan was so focused on our running game, and we kind of lost that piece and weren't able to stay competitive in that game. So we felt like we had a lot to prove this season to come back and see if we could do it again. I wasn't going to think we were going to be undefeated, but we showed last year that we were a pretty strong team, and we were hoping to be able to continue that this season.
For the members of your team that still feel that you guys did not get the shine or the attention, that you deserved, what is your message to those players or to those individuals that, you feel that may have missed you guys?
I mean, we have another chance this season to show people what we can do, and I hope we get to do that in the postseason. We may win, we may lose. I just want to have a complete fair game where we're at full strength, our opponent's at full strength, and nobody feels like they played a game with their arms tied behind their back. As for the players on the team, we work all season to get to the playoffs, and once we get here, it's time to show everybody what we can do.
All right, then. Well, good luck tonight and for the rest of the season.
Thank you so much. Good luck to you guys in the playoffs as well.
Gotcha, man. Back to you in the booth.
This is our last This Week in the SFL show of the season, so we want to thank Ashley Jackson for all of her great work she does with interviewing people around the league. It really does give an extra element to this show. We got some super chats to get to. Jay Ballmer, $4.99. Super, this is going to suck. I'm sick, and Texas teams are playing for the #1 spot. I hate Texas. and then Brett Killian, you think after I rock Ballmer at the convention, his disdain for Texas teams would dissipate a bit. Not this time. And, it's that's just hilarious. Jay Ballmer, right. Congrats on the touchdown this week. Okay, so Fort Worth, Alamo City. Here's the matchup. We talked about it last week. Dunhill touched on it a little bit. They're 0-8. Curtis, they're 0-8 against Alamo City. It's crazy. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. So that means a streak has to stop. Either Fort Worth is going undefeated and they're going to stop that 8-game losing streak against the Artillery, or Alamo City's going to win and they're going to stop Fort Worth's 11-game win streak. This is all it was cut out to be. What a great night.
We've been talking about this matchup since week 5. That's not even an exaggeration at this point. And either way, we're going streaking. It's just a matter of which side's going streaking first. The one thing to point out, you're going to look at the stats and say, "Oh, these guys have played weak teams all season long." And Cam and I were talking just before we came back, and their strength of schedule is 26th and 27th, respectively. The reason they're 26th and 27th is because of the fact that these two teams have well and truly accounted for a majority of their strength and schedule stats being low. So Cam's on the money with that. These two are fantastic on third down. They're number 1 and number 2 in turnover differential, which is something to keep an eye on. The Fort Worth has taken the ball away 23 times in season 21, which is an astounding stat. So I'm looking forward to this. This is the heavyweight bout, the main event that we've been waiting for at the culmination of the regular season.
And Mike O'Neill has the breakdown of some of the key things to watch tonight, as always, Won't want to miss this.
What is going on, everybody? Mike O'Neill here. We're going to break down some film here for the Fort Worth Alamo City matchup. Watch the bottom of your screen. It's going to be Cade Stevens for Fort Worth out of the split spread look. They're going to be sending him on an arrow route. They've been doing this all season long. It's been their bread and butter, finding the soft spot in front of the deep third. Alamo City going to have to play some different zone in order to prevent this play right here. Talking about Alamo City on offense, check out Brad Jones here on this run. Does a great job, gets to the third level, but look at this matchup. 2-on-1 defensive backs. Who do you think wins this? Well, I hate to break it to you, but it's Brad Jones. These two did not do their assignment, and Fort Worth is going to have a lot of pressure on their safeties for this reason. Fort Worth is going to have to shore up the tackling to have success tonight. Sticking with Alamo City, talking about their passing game now. Split spread look. First glance, you're like, oh, 90XZ arrows out from the outside, but watch the inside receiver, the slot receiver, Kendra Wells right there. As the ball snaps here, you're going to see the arrow routes, yep, but Kendra Wells sneaks out on a corner route, catches the defense off guard, and this is a huge gain for Alamo City. This is what they need to do more of tonight against Fort Worth to kind of surprise them. Switching over, we're going to talk about Fort Worth's passing attack. Look at Steven Hacker here, a little bit of trickery from Fort Worth in the tight end spot, and I love this. Freeze it right here. Look at the defensive back's eyes, Cam, right there on Marcus Dunhill. What does he do? As soon as he breaks, he thinks Hacker's running a fade route. He goes downfield, and he leaves about 7 yards of empty space. You can't do that with Steven Hacker. So Alamo City is going to have to be prepared for this. Fort Worth can do more stuff like this tonight, and it would be very successful. Good luck to both teams tonight. It's going to be a fun one, Cam.
It's great stuff, and it's one last game on the calendar for the 21st regular season. We did it! The sky didn't fall. You're going to be okay. Nobody broke a bunch of crazy records. See, it was fine. I told you. It'll get better. Season 22 is going to be electric. The minor league starts here in a couple of weeks as well, and Curtis and I are ready for Fort Worth and Alamo City. You ready to do this thing?
Absolutely. Let's bring it on.
All right, this week in the SFL is done for the season. Thank you all for your support again as we brought this back for a second season. Let us know in my DMs how much you appreciate this show to make sure that we know that you love it and want it to come back since it's a lot of work. Fort Worth, Alamo City, it's coming up next. What a way to end the season. We'll be right back.